everybody, I'm Gary. Welcome to the channel and thanks for joining me today for this look at Honky Tonk Women by the Rolling Stones. It's a classic, an all-time classic rock and roll track with a great guitar part, and we're going to break down every little bit of it. We're going to go close up and I'll show you, the whole track. Most of it is in an open G tuning. The lead guitar part and some other smaller embellishments are in standard tuning, so I'm not including those today. We're going to be in an open G tuning. Some of you may have seen my lesson on Jumpin Jack Flash. I had loads of great feedback and comments about that one, so that's why I've decided to look at another Stones track today. This is still a fairly new channel, and thanks to everybody for supporting me and subscribing it and for all your great feedback so far. If you haven't yet subscribed, then please do, and please give me a like in YouTube. It's going to help me to grow this. I've got tons of content planned for electric guitar and acoustic guitar. But anyway, let's get into this one and we'll get nice and close up and tune up together. Okay, so we're in up close now, and the first thing we've got to do for this one is tune up. Lots of Keith Richards' guitar parts are played in open G. He uses a lot of open chords to kind of make his life easier really when he's playing, and he doesn't actually have the low E string on his guitar. I think he just takes it off because it's not really used in a lot of these chords. But for us, we're going to go into open G tuning, so in case you're not familiar with that, our top E string goes down to a D, the bottom E string I should say. The fifth string A, that goes to a G. Our D stays the same, and our G stays the same. And also the B string. And finally the top E string, we tune that down as we did with the fat E string. That goes down to a D. So the open chord should sound like that. Sometimes when you're tuning up like that using a tuner, it's worth just playing through some parts of the track after, just to check that all the notes sound right. You sometimes just have to tweak a little bit on the guitar just to make sure that the intonation is correct, and the guitar can drift a little bit if you've just tuned it into an open tuning for the first time, so just be mindful of that. Tone tips wise, I've got a bit of gain just through a pedal on the amp. It's not too much. A little bit of reverb through the amplifier. And also linked to tone, you'll notice that I'm not using a plectrum, a pick. This song requires a finger picking style, because what we're going to be doing is sort of pinching or squeezing quite a lot of the notes. So there's no plectrums involved here. You may be used to that style of playing, but if it's new to you, that in itself can be a challenge at first. So let's get into it, and we'll look at the introduction part and the first verse. So first of all, for that introduction, when the drums have started, I played a couple of bars, and what we're doing is we're just sort of pinching. It's mainly around the G and D strings, but also bringing in the A string. I'm referring to the strings by their, the normal names, although they are tuned down, so our A string has become a G, and you get this kind of thing. And you can also bring in this A string, which is now a G. Gives it a bit more depth. So all I'm doing there is just playing the open strings. I'm not using my left hand, I'm not fretting any note, and we're just sort of doing this pinching using my thumb and my first finger. then we get this kind of, and there's quite a lot of this in this song, it's a sort of country style bend. So I'm playing the third string at the second fret, and I'm also holding down the second string at the third fret. Now, if you've not done this technique before, it's a kind of double stop bend. It can be a bit of a challenge, because what I'm going to do is hold this B string down with my third finger, but that needs to stay static, still, but then bend the G string. So you've got, that's the G note, and I'm bending it up, it's going up a full step. But it's difficult to just hold that note still. So we're not bending the B string. You've got to try and keep that still, and then just bend the G. Then bend it back. Down to the D string on the second fret, and then the G string, second fret. So I'll just run through that slowly. And again, I'm just bringing in that A string tuned down to a G for depth. And that's the introduction part. And once you've got that and you've practiced that double stop, then you're on the way to getting this track down. I would also really encourage you to listen to the track, because there's a few sort of subtle differences that Keith puts in the first verse and the second verse. So listen to what I'm showing you here, but also just listen to the track too, to make sure that you've got the timing right. Because it's really important on such a sort of iconic riff to get it right, really. Okay, so looking at the first verse, what we're going to do is take some of the elements of that introduction into the verse. Hopefully, if you're familiar with the song, you can sort of judge where the lyrics come in and where it's going, and you'll be familiar with the part, so this should make sense. So as the verse starts, we go into our... So we're just again pinching like we did in the introduction. And then we do an open A string. So slide up to the fourth fret from the second. Sorry. And an open G string. I played the D by mistake there. And then we go up to this chord, which is just barring across at the fifth fret of the guitar, so that becomes a C chord, and I'm strumming it from the A string. I'm not playing this bottom D one, and I also slide up to it. I think it helps to fill it in. And then what we do is a suspension, really, using my second finger on the B string at the 6th fret, and then also on the D string at the 7th fret. It's a very, very common Keith Richards technique against the bass chord behind it. So all together so far from the top we've got this. The next part leading on from there, and there's quite a lot to take in actually in this, but the next part I'm playing the first string at the 5th fret. I'm also playing the open G string, but I'm holding down the B string as well. I'm not playing that at the 5th fret, but I'm just holding it down so it's in position for the next move. So all I'm doing is playing together, again pinching the E string, our first string tuned down to a D, and the G string. So it rings out like that, and then just slide it down to the 3rd fret. Then we play an open G string again. But then I'm bringing in this B string at the 3rd fret, as we did at the introduction, because that's our drone note that goes with the bend. So I'm playing the 1st string and the G string there. But then it's the G string and this B string at the 3rd. And then bending it up again. And it's important with this to damp the strings to sort of keep punctuating between the different sections really, so it doesn't just all sort of merge into one. Next we go to a sort of A shape at the 2nd fret, and we do the same suspension using the B string at the 3rd fret and the D string at the 4th fret. And then we slide all that up to the 7th fret. Again, I'm playing this from the A string to give it a bit of depth. And we do our suspension again. So from that slide down, next we've got an open A string, sliding up to the 4th fret like we did before, followed by an open G string, and then back to the open chord. Similar thing, just sliding up there. Barring across at our C chord at the 5th fret. And then it's slightly different, this sort of second half of the verse. So we do our slide down like we did before, using the 1st and the open G string. 1st string at the 5th fret. That's what we've covered that already. And then we go to the 7th fret and we just play the D and G string. And then a harmonic on those same 2 strings at the 12th fret. So just putting that together, I'll play through slowly. We've got something like this. Okay. And then what we do is play an open 1st string and our G string, our 3rd string at the 4th fret, going down, slide down to the 2nd fret, playing pinching the 2 strings. I'm not playing the B string there. And then back to our open chord. And that's the 1st verse. So I'll play through all of that, the introduction on the 1st verse from the top slowly, and it sounds like this. And then we're into the chorus. So for the chorus it's much easier, there's none of our double stops, it's just a sort of chugging, so I'm just chugging the open A string and the D string at the 2nd fret there. Just like a rock and roll. And we slide that up to the 7th fret. We can do our suspension there. Then we take it up to the 12th fret. This time I'm just, I'm not playing the full suspension first time, I'm just holding down the 13th fret on the B string. And then bringing so it goes like this. Second time round, we can go down. So just that's the open 6th string, the open, which is now a D, it's the E string. And I'm just chugging again there, holding down the A string at the 2nd fret up to the 4th fret. And then we're back into our sort of country style bend. So that completes the first verse and chorus, and then we go into the 2nd verse. Okay, so the 2nd verse is really similar to the first. There's just a couple of slight variations that Keith puts in. You can adapt it yourself really if you like to suit your own style, but I'll play through it slowly. It sounds like this. So it's just really, when he plays that, he just holds on to that G note a bit longer than he does in the first verse. The timing's just a bit different, so I would recommend listening to the record. And again here. So again there's a delay there. And we're back to our little sort of country lick. And then what we do is come up here to our D chord, play it with the suspension, and then on the A string at the 3rd fret, like a sort of little pull off. And then we're into the chorus again. So very similar to the first verse, just a couple of slight variations if you want to put them in. Okay, so then follows a guitar solo, which is in standard tuning, and we're not covering that in this lesson, we're in an open G tuning. And the chords are much the same as we've looked at already. There is just one part that appears that's different, so as we go through, instead of going into our A suspension, we get a new lick that sounds a bit like, similar to our, it's a similar thing to that country. We just slide up to the A. So I'll just play through, hopefully you can see where I am in the song as the solo comes in. Okay. So all I'm doing there is I'm holding down the B string at the 5th fret and the G string, the 3rd string, at the 4th fret. So my second finger there is just really supporting my 3rd finger with the bend. The bend's really happening there, if you can see that. But then I bring in my 1st finger and I hold down the G string at the 2nd fret. So hopefully this is making sense. It's not easy to explain, but so I'm bending up on the G string at the 4th fret, and then taking my 3rd finger off to the 2nd fret on the G. And then just going down to the D string there at the 4th fret with my 3rd finger. So it's a bit of a handful at first, and it's, you know, you've got to try and keep this G note, this B string at the 5th fret static, or as still as you can. And that's really the only difference for the section of guitar that goes behind the guitar solo, and then follows another chorus. I think there's a couple of choruses. At the end of it all, there's an outro riff, or just a little closing lick, which I'll show you. Again, it uses those double stop techniques, and it sounds like this. So it requires accurate bending. I'm not sure I did it that accurately then, but hopefully you get the picture. So, but holding this drone note down on the B string, 3rd fret. I suppose you could actually do that if you didn't want to try the bending there. It's hard to get it. I suppose you could just play sort of the note, so we're bending up we're going up there, so we could just play the notes, and I'm just holding the B string down at the 3rd fret. So there we go, that's it. That's Honky Tonk Women by the Stones. I think it's really, really good fun to play. I think it's always good experimenting with different tunings, and I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. So my number one fan, Archie, has come to join me. I think he's saying turn it down, or he's had enough now and he wants a walk. So thanks very much again for joining me for this lesson. I really, really appreciate you watching. And please give me a like. I think Archie will probably get more likes than me. And until next time, do subscribe if you haven't already, and enjoy your guitar playing, and I'll see you soon. Won't we, Archie?
Yes, we will.